Hello everyone and happy Easter. It's time for another beading tutorial on today, Good Friday, which is the 29th of March, 2024. So thank you very, very much for those of you who are already here and ready for a bit of beading. As you may have seen on the keyframe, we're going to be making a gorgeous beaded ring. It's like an eternity style ring, if you've ever seen those ones before, where they have lots of little, well, usually diamonds, but in this case, we're going to be using some of our exclusive to Bead Spider size 11 seed bead crystals. So if you haven't seen those ever before, I'm going to be explaining those to you in a little bit of time. We're also going to be using technique-wise a little bit of cubic right angle weave, which will be incorporating our crystals into that one. I'm going to go through and I'm going to explain it with some really big beads just to really show you, because I know it's a complicated one for people to get their head around sometimes, especially at the beginning. If you've never really done cubic right angle weave before, I'm going to try and make it as clear as possible for you all so that you can go ahead and make this little design for yourselves. Anyway, in addition to that, there are some big announcements which I need to tell you about. I'm going to mention it a couple of times just because I know that generally the peak of number of people watching comes a little bit later in the stream. But if you haven't seen already, which means you're probably not on our email list, so hit the little button, the link in the description there. But anyway, we have our Bead Spider Easter big weekend going on right now. So if you don't know what that is, essentially, I'll show you it on the website, actually. That's the quickest and the easiest way. All the information is right there just to show you. Our Bead Spider Big Weekend, we are doing free postage worldwide, and we also have 20% off all of our Miyuki products, which we've just added an extra 60 Miyuki products this week. So I think now we have somewhere in the region of about 500 to 600 different Miyuki products. They're all 20% off. And so are our size 11 microcrystals that I'm going to be using today. So that's the first thing. So if you want to go and grab yourself some microcrystals, you can just click on the link and view the whole range, which there's about 70 or 80 colors or something about that on there. Or if you want to check out our Miyuki stock, we have, here we go, view all Miyuki beads. You can also find them up here in the menu. But otherwise, view all Miyuki beads. And you can see we've got Delicas, which there's about 300 of. We got about 100 size 15s, 100 different size 11s, and about 50 size 8 beads. So you can just go on in, and if you have a look, they're all 20% off on sale. And somewhere, here you go, here's a new one. There's a whole bunch of new ones as well, which are labeled in there. There's another one. As I said, 60 new products in total. So yeah, go have a little bit of a shop around. Now, this is the other thing which I want to tell you all about. If I just head back to the home page, we are running our first beading competition of the year. I know it's April, and you would expect it to be a little bit sooner than that. But anyway, if you just scroll on down a little bit further, the Crystal Magic Beading Competition, you can enter it just here. If you click on this button, it will take you to the page where you can see all the details, where you can register as well. And pretty much the point of the competition is that we want you to try out some of our microcrystals, our size 11 microcrystals, and get creative and see what you can come up with, what amazing things you can make. I'll mention all of this stuff a bit later, but essentially there's £200 worth of prizes up for grabs, which just by entering, you will go into the draw for, there's 2 lucky draw prizes of £50 store credit each. So anyway, even if you aren't planning on actually making anything, just by entering, you will go into the draw. So yeah, that's our competition. Go check it out on the website. As I said, though, we're going to be making today our little beaded ring. So yeah, we're going to start with some cubic right angle weave, but just to get started, I'm going to be using some lovely big beads, and I'm going to go through and sort of explain to you all, I guess, about right angle weave. So here on my table here, I've got some lovely big beads that I'm going to show you that we're going to use. I've sourced some ginormous beads that we can use for doing our little right angle, cubic right angle weave tutorial. So that's what we're going to start with. And then I'm going to show you how we can sort of shrink it on down to be using these gorgeous little beads just here. And also this particular one, I've used some silver seed beads and a tealy emeraldy colored crystal, which maybe if I hold it up, you can see in there those gorgeous emeraldy colored crystals. But I'm going to make a gold version today using some of my goldy colored Miyuki seed beads and some. I've got 3 choices of MicroCrystal which I could use. So which one do you think I should go with? There's the purple option. There's like the blue black. If you have a look, it's like a black with some blue on it. Or I've got this gorgeous red tone. So vote in the comments as to which color you would like me to go with our gold ring. You've got until I get to that part in the demonstration, which is after I've finished with these big beads, essentially. Now, I should just notice that I forgot to say hello to everyone. So I'll do that very, very quickly. Who have we got here? We have Renska is here. She says, hello, everyone. And wait, where did the thing go? Hello, everyone. Happy to be here again. Enjoy. Angelica is here. She says, good morning / afternoon and happy Easter. Carol says, hi all over on Facebook. We have Liz, who's here from Canada. Welcome to you as well, Liz. Robin, who is staying up late, watching from Australia. Thanks for joining us there, Robin. She says, hi from Australia. I love your videos. I've learned a lot. Thank you so much. Well, thank you for watching. Thank you for being here. Marlena says hello. Maxine says happy Easter. We have P. Jones, who says, looking forward to this. We have Trish Ryan, who I know is in Ireland. Welcome. Thanks for joining us. Looks like Jermaine is here watching as well, using the Bead Spider account to comment in. So if you want to say hello to Jermaine, she's here too. Eugenia is here. We also have Jan as well. Then we have another Jen this time. Joanne, Angelica has a question, which I will get to. We have Moyen. We have Irina, who hasn't been here for a while. Welcome to you, Irina. She's voting for the red. Eugenia is also voting the red. Jermaine wants to see the red, but Angelica wants the blue-black one. So what's your vote? Comment in, everyone. And now, what is the question? A crossbody bag. So that's Angelica. Do you know what? I was thinking of doing something as an idea of something on that vibe. So keep an eye out for that one. That could be something we might do in the future. So anyway, keep voting and someone keep track of the votes for me. Maxine, if you're watching, keep track of the votes. So anyway, like I said, I'm going to demonstrate now using some lovely big beads, and we're going to do some cubic right angle weave. I'm going to just sort of explain the basics. So first things first, essentially cubic right angle weave, the technique that we're going to be using today is sort of creating little blocks, almost little cubes of beads that we're going to be stacking one on top of the other into like a bit of a chain. And that's going to be creating our eternity piece at the top of our ring up here. So I've got a piece of paper and I'm going to sort of explain to you the concept. So because this is where you'll see how bad my drawing skills are. So essentially what we're doing, we're going to be making like a cube shape of beads. So if this is our cube just here, like that, if that's our cube, basically there's going to be, I can zoom in even further. There's going to be a bead. Right angle weave uses like a cross shape for all of our beads. So if you imagine that here, this is going to be one side of your cross. If you imagine there's a bead here, 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 and here, this is going to be another side. You would also have some around the other side and some at the back as well. So if I have a look at my little ring, it's very, very tiny and now been misplaced, probably under my bead mat somewhere. Yes, of course. So if you have a look at that, this is maybe not the ideal way to show it because I've got some little beads in there as well. But if you have a look here at the top, where's my little needle here? If you have a look, this one is in the center. There's a bead on the edge. There's another one. And then there. So see that little group of 4 beads? That's like one face of your cube. Do you know what? Let's just get into it and I'll show you. So if you imagine it, if you were to sort of explode your box, it would be, you've got the base here like this. And then you can almost imagine if you were to just fold it out flat, there'd be one. This would be like the second face. This is going to be the third face, the fourth face. Then you would have the fifth face. And when you bring it all together, if you imagine that this line and this line, when you fold them up together, will come together like this, there would technically be another square, which is going to be on the top. But because we're using beads, if you have a look, there's going to be a bead here, a bead here, a bead here, and a bead here. So this is going to be the base. And then from there, we're going to sort of stitch on another row on top of that of more squares to turn it into a thing. So if you sort of imagine it like this, if it was like this here, you'd sort of have these 4 beads as one side, these 4 beads another, these are 4 are another, these 4 are another. Here would be 4 beads, and then when you join them, they would have another 4. But the thing is, if you have a look, if you were to join this into a cube, essentially what you would actually need is something more like this. So this little section here, this line and this line are technically the same when you were to fold them together. So basically what you would have your 4 beads at the base, and then these 2 beads these 2 like sides would share 1 bead. This bit over here is sharing 1 bead. These 2 are sharing 1 bead. And this face, they're also sharing 1 bead. And then you just have 1 at the top, 1 at the top, 1 at the top, 1 at the top. And when you fold that in, these 4 little beads become your sort of top section. Hopefully that diagram wasn't too confusing, but we're going to sort of be using this in practice to show you the process of creating this sort of structure. So the first thing that we're going to do is create this little base square with our ginormous big beads. And then from that, we're going to add each of these little sides and sort of attach them all to each other to bring it into the center, and then add a couple of beads on the top. So I'm going to use different colors for each space. So this bottom section, I'm going to use the dark blue, maybe these beads that are joining these edges, I'm going to do in a second color, and then the ones that'll be on the top, I'll do in a third color. So let's get in on it, and let's see how we get on. So as I said, we're going to be using some lovely big beads to make it easier to see exactly what we're doing before we jump on in and start using our seed bead size beads. So if we keep voting, everyone, do you want the red? That one is definitely the overwhelming favorite at the minute. I'm going to just grab myself a little bit of beading thread just here. I'm not going to need too much because I'm only going to do a base cube, I think. And grab myself my beading needle. And here we go. Pull that through. Don't forget, for those who are late, we have free shipping all weekend. There's a little thing right there on the homepage that you can go and check out. So anyway, let's make that little base structure that we said. So essentially, it's just 4 little beads, and they create a square. So if you've done right angle weave before, you will recognize this little cross shape that we're going to be making. I hope I've given myself enough thread. Surely I have. So we're going to go through these. I'll just go through them all one more time. Because we have very big holes, so it's nice and easy to sort of combine them. If I just tie these 2 together, it will stay nice and secure as well. Just tie that. So yeah, if you have a look, it creates this sort of square shape that we're going through. Let's tie one more time, just so it's secure. There we go. And over there. Good. So yeah, if you have a look, we have this square shape just here. This is going to be, as I said, the base of our little square. So if you have a look once more down here, we've just done this middle section here. So now at this point, well, now that we have our central square, we want to start adding the 4 that go on the outside. So like I said, the ones that are here are sort of joined together. So first things first, let's add in our next little square just here. So we're going to add these 3 here. So if you imagine, we've already got 4 little beads. We're going to add the one that goes here, here, and here. So now that we have that, let's just, I'll thread through one more bead just to be a bit further away from all of those threads and stuff. And we're going to now add on the next little square that will go on the outside. So if I use this one, if you imagine, is going to be in this spot. Actually, I'll flip it over into right hand view for you all, just because I know that's going to be more useful. Here we are. So yeah, if you imagine, we're going to have a bead that's here. We're going to have one at the top and one just here. So I'm going to pick up, this one is going to be a side bead. This gray color can be a top bead. And then we'll have another one, which is going to be a side bead. So if I just loop around and pass through that same bead again, when I pull that tight, that's going to create our second little square shape like that there, see? So I will pass through them. I'm going to have to pass through all the beads probably a second time just to try and keep them a little bit tighter because they have such big holes. Hopefully I'm not going to run out of thread. Wouldn't have thought so. But anyway, once you have done that, just for extra security, there we go. Pull that tight. So you can see now we have our next one. And now what we want to do is, if we look at our little piece of paper here, we added our little first section. We've added our second box. So now we want to add our third box, right? So if you imagine, we need to add a bead that's going to be here. We need a bead that's going to be here. And because we already added a bead, which is for this row here, we're going to use that same bead because these are shared. We're going to pass through that bead and back to create this square. So that will sort of bring the two edges up to each other. So if we do that now, the way that we're going to do that, the first thing that we need to do is move around our work so that we're in position for our next little square edge. So we're currently coming out here. Let's go around our base structure so that we're coming out from where the next little square would be built. So we'll build the square now just here. So the first thing that we're going to want is a bead that's going to be sort of this part of the square. We're going to have one for the top. And then remember how I said they're going to be shared? It's this bead just here that's going to make up the third bead that we're going to need for this face here. So I'll pick up one for the side, one for the top. And then, as I said, this one is going to be shared between this square and this square when it's all folded up. So let's pass through that bead and back around now into that base bead. And when you have a look at that, you can sort of imagine, if I pull a little bit tighter, that these three here, if I just sort of pull them out of position slightly, there you go. Those three there, plus our blue one in the base, that creates that next square. So see how they share that bead? If we fold that up when it comes up, that's going to give us the sort of that cube shape. It'll start taking shape as we add more beads. So essentially now we're going to do the exact same process again to add our third square. So now we travel around the base once more, pull it tight, and we're going to add the beads for this side of our little cube bit. So on our paper now, if we're looking back over here, we've done the middle, we've done the outer cube 1, outer cube or face number 2, and now we're going to add the third one, which once again, this bead here, we already have it. It's going to be shared with this one. So we're going to add a bead here, and then we're going to use this so that it will bring everything up together again. So once again, we're going to pick up one bead, which will be for the side, one bead, which will be for the top, and then this one here is going to work. Oh, whoops, just out of shot there. So we're going to have, one bead, which will be for the side, one for the top, and then this one just here is going to become our third one. So you can see how if you're not keeping attention with this first round, the first square is the most difficult. Once you get past this one, it all holds up and it works much, much quicker and easier. So anyway, we've got our side, we have our top, and we want to borrow or share, I should say, the side from this one, and then we'll come back into this base to complete that little square of 4 beads. So when you pull that tight, you can see we now have one for the side, one for the top, one for the other side, and one for the base. And now lastly, we're going to add our fourth little square in, which let me just reinforce these beads so they don't come undone while I'm working. Just very quickly. So through there. And now we want to add on our fourth face, as I said. So the way that we're going to do that is by weaving around, and we're going to get into position to add that fourth little square. So we're exiting from this bead here. This is our tail thread, so I'll just hold that out of the way so it doesn't get confusing. So now we're going to come down to the bottom, and we're going to add that fourth little square. So at this point, if we look at our paper, we're going to add the fourth square, which is going to be the base. So we already have a bead chilling just here, which we're going to use, which is shared by this side of our square. So we're going to use that. We're going to need to add in a bead for the top of that little square. And then we already have a bead here, which is going to be shared with this edge. So that bead there, we're going to go through, and that's going to be this one over here. So we're going to pass through the first one that we added. We're going to add one for the top, and then we're going to add, and then we're going to pass through this one that we already had before. Hopefully that all makes sense. So anyway, visually now that we're exiting from this little bead here, like I said, this one is that shared bead. So we're going to go into that one. Then we're going to pick up the one that's going to be at the top of our square. And then this one is also going to be shared. So we're going to go through there. And to finish off our square, we're going to go back through that little base bead. And if I keep it loose for a second, you'll see there's that little bead just there, part of that square. And now, as I pull that tight, it's all going to close on up into that little square shape, see? So if you look at that there, see that? There's that one square of the side. We have a square on this side. We have a square on that side. We have a square all the way around. And essentially at this point, it would be better if it was a bit firmer, but we're going to go up the edge. We're going to pull that tight. I should have used a thicker cord. And now, if we go into the top of our square, we need to join these beads together to complete that little cube shape. So pass into there. And now see that? We're going to join all of those top beads, and that's going to it's going to fold all of these little squares together, keep them together, and make it lovely and cube-like. So pull that tight. I'll go through one more time just to make it a little firmer. Once more. And pull tight. And there you go. Look, you can see we have that one little square, which if we have a look, here's our base, all in blue. And then when we made our first face, we added 1, 2, 3. This one was shared between the next face. So we had the base, one, the top, and the other side. Same again, the base, the side, the top, and the side. And then exactly the same once again on that fourth side. So you can see that you have now that full lovely cube shape. And then once you've done that process, you can almost imagine now that this is now going to become the base of your next little cube. So at this point, you can do the exact same process to stack another cube on top. So if you just imagine that this is now that base, you know how we did it just before, that the middle was the dark blue color. We're now going to do it so that the gray is going to be the new base, and we can use the dark blue as our new top bead. So I'll just do it very, 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 very quickly. So you would have a side, a top, and a side like this, and you can just create your next square, pull it tight, and pass around the corner to the next face. We're going to pick up a side bead, a top bead, and we're going to share this one from the previous face, pull it tight, and that will do 2 of them. Weave around the corner into the third spot. We're going to pick up a side and a top, and we're going to reuse this side bead over here and back into the base, where we were, and make sure your thread is on the correct side when you do that. There we go. Pull that through. There's 3 of the sides, and now because we want this little bead and this little bead to be part of this one, we'll go around the corner. You go up the side bead. We're going to add in a top bead and borrow that other side bead to complete that little cross square shape. Pull it nice and tight, and you can see already our next cube is taking shape. We just have to now join those top bits, which I just realized I accidentally put the wrong color bead there, but that does not matter. But there you go. You can see we have our 4 beads now at the top. So if we go through the blue ones, around here, imagine, just pretend that this one is also dark blue and that I'm not a fool. And we go through there. And there you go. Look at that. We have now our next little cube fully made. And we have a second stack on top of the first one. See that? So does that make sense to those who have never done cubic right angle weave before? That by doing this process, you create a cube and then you build another one on top, you build another one on top, and then build another one on top. That is what we're about to do now using our much smaller seed beads. So I'm going to get into the process of how we make our ring, but this time there's another couple of extra steps that we're going to add in to make it really, really finished off and looking nice. So first things first, I'm going to grab myself out, or rather I'm going to move out the way these big brown ones, these giant beads. I don't need them anymore. I'm going to get out some of my gold seed beads. You don't need too many to make a ring, by the way. You only need like 1 or maybe 2 grams or so of the size 11. I also have the matching size 15, which I'm using the galvanized yellow gold, which is, there we go, color number 37 of the size 15s and color number 48 of the, they're both 20% off, by the way, of the size 11s. I'm going to be using both of those together. So you can see the 15s are really, really teeny weeny when you compare them side by side. And then I'm pretty sure everybody voted for the red. Now, Anissa Warren says, I wish you guys had a US location. Well, you don't need to worry about that one so much. We take US dollars on our website and we ship to the UK. And this weekend, we have free shipping worldwide, as long as you're spending £30 or equivalent, which I think is about $40-ish, or 37-ish euros, somewhere around that. Just depends on today. But this weekend, we are posting for free. So you can shop with us, no problem. Also, Toho is no problem as per Jan's question. The size 11s, they're all the same. I'll show you a bit later on a size comparison. So anyway, you can also use Preciosa size 10s, which is something we use very regularly. Anyway, so now I'm going to do the exact same process, but this time I'm going to be using the slightly smaller seed beads. And I'm going to be using the red, as voted by all of you, MicroCrystals, just because I think they are a fabulous color. So I'll grab those out. For those of you who have never seen MicroCrystals before, let me just introduce to you how amazing they really are. So just before we begin, if you do beadwork, you can have a look at this. This looks like just standard, regular old beadwork, right? But the difference is that when you're using the microcrystals, as soon as you start moving said project, it glistens, it catches the light, it absolutely comes to life. So this is like our beaded Easter egg that we've done. So see how even the silver line seed beads, they do not shimmer in a way that the crystals do. So this is the great thing about the microcrystals, which are exclusive to us. We are the only ones. We had them made for us to be exactly the size of a size 11 seed bead. That's why you can only get them from us, and why we're doing a competition about them this month and April. But anyway, if you want to see what they look like in big hanks when we get them from our manufacturer, you can see, look at that. This one here, look how sparkly they are, Tell me you've ever seen a seed bead do that, and I'm going to call you a liar. But this is the sort of thing that your beadwork can have and how it can be added to. The nice thing is that you only need to use them relatively sparingly to get that same sparkly bling effect happening from those little beads. They are so shiny because we've had them made to a very, very high quality standard. So you get gorgeous sparkle. So yeah, go check out the link in the description for all the different colors that we have and just make your beadwork better. Essentially, that's all I can tell to you. It's not so great for, because of the facets, not so good for peyote and brick stitch, but anything else, it's going to just take your work to the next level. So that is my big sell, I suppose, on the microcrystals. But we're going to use the red color as per your request. So first things first, I'm going to grab myself a little bit of thread. To make an entire ring, you probably only need somewhere in the region of about 1.5 meters. I'm going to use a little bit more than that just to be on the safe side. It's always better to have too much than not enough when it comes to your thread, because if you run out mid-project, it's a faff. If you have too much thread, well, it's not that big of a deal, is it? In comparison to having to, like, bring in a new thread, weave out an old thread, something like that. So I try and be as like using as least wasteful as possible with my thread, but I find that, to be honest, the number of times that I've been like, oh, I won't waste the thread, you know, the 2p's worth of thread, I'm going to give myself an hour's extra faff instead, which is mind-boggling why I do this to myself. So anyway, first things first, we're going to make our ring shape. So if we have a look at this one here, the cubic right angle weave, it starts just here. So we have a row on the bottom, and then we start with our crystals after that point. Now, you don't need many crystals at all for this. So you only need probably somewhere in the region of about 5, maybe 6 of the microcrystals to make this ring. So first things first, we're going to do that same cubic right angle weave process, which, if we zoom right on in there, you can see these 4 beads are going to be the base of my work. So if I just pull my thread down, I'm going to leave myself a bit of a tail because I will potentially use that towards the end. And I'm going to just now pass through all 4 beads once more to get them a little bit firmer. Hold that tight. And then I'll pass through one more bead to complete the circle. I'm not going to tie a knot just because I want to sort of keep the holes as free as possible. So there we go. We have our first little cube, and now I'll pop it back into right-hand view because I just realized that I took it out of right-hand view. And we're going to start now doing our cubic right angle weave, but with the seed beads now. If it will focus, that would be good. You going to work for me, my friend? I'm going to have to go a little bit further out. There we go. Okay, so I'll move slightly around to be a little bit further away from that initial thread. And we're going to now add on our first sort of face of our cubic work. So if we pick up 3 little seed beads, we're going to just pass back through that same little bead in the same direction. So we've sort of looped around like that, and that's going to add that second little face to our work. Let me just try and zoom in a little more. There we go. Now the camera's happening. Now I've got to just try and sit as still as possible. So now we're going to pass through the next bead around the corner of our base, and we're going to pick up 1 and 2. And if you missed the beginning of the video, make sure you go back and watch this because I did a really, really intense explanation, shall we say, of cubic right angle weave. So now we're going to pick up 2. So one will be the side, one will be the top. This is the shared bead. So we'll pass through that to make that next square shape. And with the smaller beads, because they have smaller holes, you can already sort of start to get it folding upwards if you wanted to. But we'll go around the corner now into the next bead of our base section. We will pull it tight and get our tail thread out of the way. Again, we're going to pick up 2 beads again. So 1 and 2. We're going to reuse this little bead here and pull that tight. And now we're going to use the edges of the other one. So we'll go through here up to that one that we're using from the first square that we made. We will pull it nice and tight. I forgot to open up my strand of microcrystals, so let's just grab some scissors and give that a quick cut. Here we go. Now I will use my first little microcrystal just here, which you can see they are very shiny, even though they're very tiny. So let's just pick that up. This one's going to be at the top of my cubic right angle weave, and we're going to borrow this same bead and back into the base. And as we pull that nice and tight, it's going to create that little cube shape just there. All of those beads, if we sort of just pinch them together, you'll see we have our 4 beads right there on the top. So 1, 2, 3, and 4. So from the base, let's weave up the side and into the top section just here. And if you wanted to, we don't have to do it yet. Actually, there's one other step, which I almost forgot, which is we're going to be doing a little part, which is just to make it that little bit fancier, a little bit nicer. So see how wait, there you go. See how you can see the thread just here? This is what our size 15s are going to be for. So we're going to pick up, you can do this at the end if you prefer, but I'm going to just do it at the beginning because I find that it's a little bit easier to do it while I'm here than having to weave back. We're going to pick up a size 15 and we're going to go around the base, filling each of those corners to hide the thread. So pick up a 15, pass into 1 bead, pick up another 15, and we will pass into the next one around our base. And the handy thing is that little size 15 helps us keep track of where the top of our work is too. So now let's go into here. Do you know what? I think everybody's voting for the red one was a good idea. The red, it's almost like a really rich ruby, isn't it? Going with the gold looks fabulous. So go through there and now rotate it round. We're going to add in the 4th and final one to hide that last little bit of thread work there. So see that tiny section just here where there's all that thread? Go through that last little bead to complete that circle. And hey presto, the thread is hidden, all plugged and disappeared by those little 15s. And now we're going to go up and into that microcrystal. So pull that tight. Now at this point, it depends if you want to do the extra step. I don't think it is necessary, where you can go around and stitch these beads to each other already, but you don't actually have to do that yet. The way that you add your next row on, because we go all the way around that square, it is going to sort of fill those spaces. So I'll go around, I'm coming out the microcrystal. So this time we're going to pick up one, which is going to be the side, a red one, which will be the top, and another red one, which will be the other side. Sorry, let's try and keep that focus. I'll zoom out just a tiny bit because the focus tends to hold better when I'm just a little bit more focused outwards. Come on now. There we go. Now I'll come back in. So there we go. I will do my utmost to keep it as in focus as possible. So we'll add on our first little row here and pull tight. And remember how I said you don't have to go around the corners at the beginning because we're doing it now. So pull that tight. I'm going to keep my eye on that focus and hope that, one, I keep myself in camera, but also, two, that the focus holds nicely. So now we're going to pick up just gold beads now. So we'll pick up 2 gold ones, go down that bead from the side of our previous cube, pull tight, and then we will go around the corner once more into this bead, and then I'll just rotate it slightly to make it a little bit easier for positioning wise. There we go. Pick up 2 more gold ones, and we'll go back through the last bead of the one that sort of joins the 2 edges, and we'll pull that one tight as well. Get my tail thread out of the way if I can. If you'll behave, my friend. There we go. And finally, we'll go into this one. Come on. You can do it. There we go. Into that next one, which is the base of that corner. And because we've already done the edges, we're going to go up one edge. We're going to pick up 1 more of our seed beads, the size 11s. We're going to jump across and down into that cube side there. Then we will pull our thread through. And you know how we added in those 15s? We're going to do that as well. So if you have a look, we have the top of our new cube here. If we turn it sideways, we're going to go around this section here. So see this little gap in there? We're going to fill that with a 15. So just pass from one seed bead around the base section again and into the next one. It's very difficult to keep my hands steady. Clearly, I'm just useless. I need to practice this more. What do you think, everybody? How are we finding the tutorial, by the way? Hope you're enjoying it. Come on. You gonna focus? There we go. Next, around the next corner. Maybe if I hold it a bit closer to the ground, it will focus better. There we go. Into the next size little gap. So just around this corner. And fill that gap. Ah, got caught. My thread got caught on my table. There we go. Into there. And around a bit more. 4th one, filling those gaps. And now at this point, we can sort of just continue until we have probably 5 crystals is easily enough. So, all right, I'm going to zoom out because I wanted it to be really close, but that little cube, that little focus is just not being my friend. So anyway, let's now go up into the next little one here and into this side. Just here, we'll go into the bead that's just beside that microcrystal. And we can now do our next cubic right angle weave. So we've done 2 of the crystals. If you wanted to do just a small central section, you can do, which maybe I will. Maybe I'll just do one with 3 crystals. I reckon 5 is maybe the best. 6 if you've got slightly bigger fingers. 3 could look quite delicate, though, I think. Could be very nice. So I'll go around this square. And once you start getting the hang of it and you've got something to grip onto, you'll find that the beads will sort of automatically start sitting in position the way you want them to. So we started with 3 gold ones. Now we'll do 2 gold ones. Use that same shared bead and back into the one where we started. Pull through. Just rotate it round into the next bead around the base. Again, we're going to pick up 2 more gold ones and into the side and through the middle where we started. And now back, finishing through our microcrystal. We're going to pick up into this edge here. Then into the microcrystal, pick up a microcrystal, sorry, into the next edge and through that crystal. And now we'll just do that process once again of filling all the holes with little size 15 beads just to neaten those tiny, tiny little gaps which if I hold it up, see there, that little gap just there, you don't want to see the thread. We want it to look a little bit neater and a little bit cleaner. And so look, there you go. There's that tiny little bead in there. And if you compare it to there, where you can see that hole, it just really makes it look much nicer, sort of like solid metal. So you can literally use whatever color beads you want for this, by the way. I know I'm using gold and I used silver before, but you could genuinely, if you wanted to, make it out of any matching color. I mean, you don't even have to go with matching. You could go with a completely different color altogether just to make it a bit more interesting. Like a really rich blue could be very nice, or maybe some purple, matching purple ones. A copper, if you wanted to. This is a good way to wear like a copper color ring without your skin going green. So there we go. Let's go back. Actually, we won't go into the microcrystal. Sorry, we'll go into the bead beside the microcrystal, just so that we can do the microcrystal last. So from here, we go into that one beside. Shall I do 3 crystals? Do you think that's enough? How does that look on the size of my finger? So shall I do 1 or 2 more, or shall I just stick with the 3? Yeah, see how it fills that gap? It looks really nice, doesn't it? The red, I think, is really punchy. Well, anyway, while you guys are deciding, I have time to do another row. So 1, 2, 3. Shall I do it with 3 crystals, or shall I go 4 or a 5th? Comment. Come on. Actually, what time is it? 13 minutes. All right, fair enough. We'll move on. So I'll do this one all in gold, which will just have a small section at the front. You can literally do it as many as you want, the number of crystals. Obviously, if you do too many, it sort of becomes a bit chunky and you almost can't close your fingers because it's, like 3 mil thick or whatever. It would be like wearing a really, really chunky ring, which you can do that if you want to. If that is your vibe. 3 for Easter, says Angelica. Irina says 5. I agree. I would like to do 5, but for the sake of time, you've got the gist of how to do it. But to finish off, the last one, we're going to do it with gold. So finish it off so that this end and this end match. Let's go into there and add one last little bead in gold. And then we'll fill the gap with 15s. Just here. And then we'll start adding on our little beads. So now pick up those 15s and we'll fill those gaps just here. Jen, you can do this as a birthstone ring of your children. So as many kids as you have. That is a lovely idea. Imagine, I tell you, my nana, though, would not, or even my great-grandparents, I don't think the ring would fit. They had too many kids. Jermaine is one of like 6, so maybe that is a good number. But my nana, I think, was one of 12 children. That would be a lot of crystals that you would have to do. But as she said, that is a very good idea, a birthstone ring, which you could then even do it so that each bead is a different color corresponding to said child's birthstone. So if you have one whose birthstone is ruby, you can use a red one. Then the next child you could go with like a greeny one. That's a lovely idea there from Jen Reeves, which Angelica agrees. She says, ooh, good idea, Jen. I can even hear the ooh, like, ooh, yeah, that's interesting. So anyway, let's weave up to the top now. This one, we haven't joined these beads, but because we're not going to do another row, you do need to remember to go through all of those beads once, which is very, very quick to do. There we go. And then we will do that same process of adding all of those 15s to the top to create that final little cubey shape. The nice thing about this particular design is that it's quite soft, the cubic right angle weave, because I've done it with thread. If you were doing this with fireline, you would probably find that your cube is much stiffer, and then it's difficult to get it to bend into a ring shape. So this one is one of those projects that is surely better to do with thread over doing it with fireline. That is my personal suggestion, because look, you can see it has flexibility to go into a curve over your ring. So there you go. That's going to be the top of my ring. Now, the other one, I showed you this one here. This is like the easy way of doing the strap, which essentially is to continue doing right angle weave along and around until it fits you on your finger. So if you wanted to do that, essentially what you could do is just weave to this bottom bead here. Make sure it's the one opposite the crystals. And then you just do right angle weave, right angle weave, right angle weave, right angle weave, all the way around to the other side. And then you fill the gaps between the right angle weaves, sort of like what we did with the 15s, but you would use size 11s as well because it keeps the size nice and good. But I'm going to show you a different way, just in case you want to try a different type of strap that's just a little bit thinner. So, first things first, what we're going to do is weave to that one little bead, which is at the base of our work just here. I'm going to pick up 1, 2, whoops, I'm not at the right spot yet. I need to go around until I'm coming out of, I will point it out to you in just a second. No, I'm an idiot. I went one too many already. There we go. So if you have a look, our crystals are here on the top. Those are our gorgeous little crystals. And if you have a look, we're coming out of the seed bead that is the complete opposite to where the crystals are. See that? And what we're going to do now is pick up just 2 beads. So the other one I did was right angle weave. This one I'm going to do in something more like a herringbone stitch. So the way that you do it is up to you. Right angle weave looked very good. I kind of like the herringbone-y look though. So you can just go through there, and that's going to add on 2 little beads like this. And now you can just keep going, 1, 2, and we'll go back through here and rotate it over and up through 4 beads. And there you go. And that's going to create that nice little herringbone happening. Then if you want to do another 2 beads, you go down the bead beside and back up 2 beads. Pull tight. And there you go. There's the next little row. I'll zoom back out again so that we actually hold our focus now. And let's do a few more rows just very, very quickly. 1, 2. You can go down 1 bead and up 2. And then I'm going to show you a way that you can do it even quicker if you wanted to, which if you wanted to make your ring elasticated, this is a good way of doing it. You can do like a little strip like this, and then you can do the next part with elasticated thread. You would need a fairly fine one, but it would work nonetheless. So this time I'm going to pick up 4 beads, and I'm going to go down, for starters, just 1. And then I'm going to go back up all of those ones that I just added. And I'm going to pull that tight. And now I'm going to pick up 4 more. 1, 2, 3, 4 beads. And I'm going to go down just 1 again. And that is going to speed up the process of making these herringbones. It's not going to be as firm, but to be honest, for a ring strap, I think this is going to be just fine. So 1, 2, 3, and 4. Down 1. And up. Through there. Pull tight. And essentially you would just keep going until your ring is just your size. So I'm going to do it to my size. I may as well. It's not going to take me very long doing it the 4 bead method, which is way faster for herringbone, in case you have never done it before. So we'll go down there, back up again, just get them into position. There we go. Back up through 1, 2, and 3. Once again. Jan says, I had 3 kids and that was plenty. So clearly Jan does not want to have more crystals in her ring. Thus far, I'm not allowed to have a ring because I don't have any kids. I have 2 cats though, Rocket and Luna. So maybe I'll, speaking of which, it was Luna's birthday. No, Rocket's birthday, sorry, just last week. Isn't that cute? So there we go. Maybe I'll just be the eternal spinster. Maxine and I. I don't think that would go down too well with Jermaine. And I'm trying to remember who it was. Someone used to always pester me about, so when are you having kids? When are you getting married? So yeah, let's just do a few more rows like this. That's giving us this strap. And I'm going to show you one last thing before we finish that will take it up a notch just to really finish it off. Because if you have a look currently, it's this big chunky cube just sitting on a strap. If you like that, that's fine. If you don't like that, I'm going to show you how you can sort of graduate it in a bit more. Now, Jan says, do you celebrate their birthdays? Oh, yeah, you know, we had like a cake and balloons and like we invited the whole neighborhood round. No, just kidding. We bought them each because their birthdays are only a few weeks apart. They got a cat toy and they both had, I mean, a yummy meal on whomever's birthday it was. So it wasn't like a proper celebration, you know, but Maxine's sentimental about these things. There's nothing wrong with celebrating for your fur babies, says Angelica. So let's see where I'm at now. This is probably pretty close to my size, I would think. In fact, I may have even gotten too far, but if I have, I don't care. I'm going to just keep going anyway. I went down one too many beads. Doesn't matter. Let's go down there. Oops. So let's test the size, shall we? So I have this strap coming out just here so far. Did I miss a bead or something? What have I done? One bead too many? Yes. There we go. So where am I at? So let's just check that out. Do you know what? I kind of like the sort of the boxy top because we have this really small center. The boxy top is actually kind of really cool. I kind of really like it actually, but I am going to change it. So we're getting there. We're about 2/3 of the way. So I'm going to do some more. I'm going to do some really quick rows just to get it powering. There we go, and back up. I mean, if you really wanted to, you could be doing even 6 beads at a time or 8 if you're really lazy. 2, 3, 4 beads there. Which, by doing it with 4 beads, it's not quite as secure, but it is pretty much just as good, I think. So we're almost there, and then we can sort of examine our ring, see what we think of it. I kind of actually really like this mini boxy look in comparison. I will show you the two together just to give you a comparison once I've made it, and then we can make a decision at that point if we want to do the, well, I'm going to show you how to do it anyway, but you guys can vote on which way you sort of preferred it. Did you like it better, you know, boxier, or did you prefer the little graduated edging that I'm going to try and do? So let's go. Jan laughing at me saying lazy. Well, absolutely. Especially when I'm doing a live stream. I want to be blasting through it. You guys don't want to sit here, watch me. Imagine how long it would take me. If I was doing these 1 bead at a time, this would be a slow process. So anyway, 1, 2, 3, 4. Do you know what? I'm going to go even lazier just because you've tempted me into it, Jan. Or is it Jen? Jen. Sorry, my bad. Let's go up there, and then we're going to go through 6 beads this time that I've added. So you can see it's still just as good, maybe not quite as tight, but I can see, look, you can see there's spacing in between, but I will fix that in just a second. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. So see how they split a bit here? I'm going to thread down 2 beads to fix that. 1, 2. And then when I thread back up, it's going to join all of those back together. And there you go. Look, it's not as good, but it's still pretty good, I would think, but it's way quicker. So there. And now how do we go for my ring sizing? I think that's about enough. I think that will do. That should do. Jermaine, what do you mean no grandkids? You've already got 2. Plus, you have to babysit them often enough anyway, so what does it matter? So, now let's turn this into a ring shape. So all we have to do is just connect this into that one little bead just here, and it's literally going to be done. So instead of doing a full thing here, let's go through, go back down 2, pull that tight, go back across. I hope I'm in camera, yes. Through there, and back through that middle bead, just here, pull it through, there we go. Get that nice and firm, and if you have a look, this makes my finger look so big. Surely this is, oh well, whatever. So anyway, and there you would have your little ring, which I would recommend going all the way back through it just to sort of reinforce it once more. So if we have a look, you can see that's going to give me that very cute, actually, little ring just there. It's a little bit more manageable size. What do we think? I think I kind of like the 3 crystals. It's kind of nice. Otherwise, so see how it's got that boxy sort of look at the top? What I can do, which I'll show you now, is graduate it so that it's a little bit cleaner edged, like I've done with this one. See how this one doesn't have like a square box edge? So if we thread now back up to the top, what we can do at this point, if we want to clean up that edge. So what do you think? Do you like the sort of the boxy square edge, or would you do, or would you prefer it to graduate a bit more? So the graduating way is to just weave back up to the top, which, don't get your thread caught around your loop. There we go. We're going to go into this very end seed bead right there at the tip. Jen says graduate. Kay says it looks great. Well, we're going to do it anyway. We're going to experiment and see how it looks. Hopefully it'll look nice. I think it will. So we're going to do that here and just thread now so that we're coming out of this little bead, and just to graduate this. Now, because I've done such a small little bit at the top here, the graduation is probably going to have to be bigger than what I did on the other one. So we can sort of imagine it and see what we think. To graduate it down, basically what we're going to do is, from exiting this top little bead here, which, putting it on my finger, maybe that's a good way to get it just right, is to now pick up some of my 11s, and we're going to fit them into this space just here. So let's go maybe 3, because this one is quite small. And where does that come to? Yeah, that comes to about here. So see this bead here? We're going to go into, where was it? This little bead just here. Try not to stab myself in the finger. Natalia says they are both very nice. It's still me. Renska, by the way, changed from phone to computer. Oh, okay, fair enough. There we go. So there we are. There we have 3 little beads, which I could have done maybe 2 and a 15. Maybe that would have been nicer. Well, I've done 3 now. I'll do 2 and a 15 on the other side. So now we'll just jump across to the other side of that same little section. We'll pull it tight, and then we'll pick up 3 more. 1, 2, 3. And we'll go back into that topmost bead right here. I'll take this off now. Back into this topmost bead. And pull through. And that is going to create this little section here, which, if I just join them together so that they are stitched together, herringbone stitch style. Let's just go like so, get it nice and tight, and then back across, just sort of firming the middle of them together so that they are staying a little bit neater. We can see what we think of this process in just a second. And now I can go back down into my ring base, and this just firms things up a bit. And there you go. You can see it gives you this graduated little edge, which we can just test how it looks once we have got to the other side. Maybe you'll prefer it the other way, maybe you won't. Either way, doing this process is going to just firm everything up and make it look lovely. And if we do the same process again on the other side, because we know where we're going to be coming out now, we did it so that we skipped just one bead. Okay, so we're going to skip our first one just here. So see that first row of herringbone stitch there? We're going to skip that one because that's where our 3 beads are going to come into. So if we do this just here, Rachel says, can you add more rows where the crystals are? Yes, you can do as many as you like. You can do it 6. I did another one where you can do it 9. You can do it a million crystals. You can do it a full circle if you wanted to. Right, let's do 3 again. Back into that bead at the top. And that's going to give us that same little graduation. Then 3 more. 1, 2, 3. And into the other side of that same herringbone stitch, which is out of focus again. My apologies. Through there. Like that. And now let's just go back up into here. And we will stitch these 2 little pieces to each other so that they don't flop apart. There we go. And now this process brings me back to the other side of my ring, and I can reinforce the second side by passing through the entire thing once more. And basically, you could just start weaving knots now and getting it all firm. But at this point, I'm going to just stop. I'm not going to bother tying the knots. I'm not going to show you that. So you can just pop it on to your finger. And now it has a more graduated edge rather than that boxy looking effect. So what do you think was better? Do you prefer it with a boxier edge, or did you prefer it with the boxier edge, or do you prefer it with the graduated edge? Now, obviously, because this one was with more crystals, I didn't need to do so many beads because it wasn't such a sort of sharp curvature. It's more of a rounded shape. So I only had to do 2 on this one. But anyway, so if we have a look, Jen says the graduated edge. See, there's the difference. Maybe I'll put them on separate hands. So it's up to you. If you want to do it with more crystals, you can do it with more. If you prefer the right angle weave at the bottom, you prefer this sort of strap, you can do it like that. If you prefer this strap, you can do this one. And there you go. Those are the 2 different designs. So I think it's all very, very nice. It's a very, very simple little design once you've got the hang of that cubic right angle weave. But I think it looks very, very nice. It's quite cute. Cute little ring. So there you go. Hopefully you enjoyed that. Now, for those of you who haven't been here that long, we have a sale, a big, big, big sale going on this weekend. Kay says, I like them both. Well, the good thing is that you can do it either way you want to. But yes, as I said, back over at the Bead Spider website, for those who did not see it, it's this button here that I need. Just there. There we go. So, for those of you who missed it at the beginning, we have free postage this weekend, and we're doing 20% off our Miyukis, all of them, 500 or 600 different products, and we have 20% off the size 11 MicroCrystals as well. Now, Lisa said, could you do the graduation with the size 15? Yes, just sort of experiment with the size of that little sort of edging that you wanted to do. If you wanted to be a little less chunky, probably finishing with a size 15 would have been better, but you know, too late now. Anyway, so yeah, if you want to get yourself free postage, worldwide shipping Worldwide postage is free as long as you're spending £30, which if you're in the US, that equates to somewhere around about $40 and maybe 50 cents or so. If you're in Europe, that equates to about 37 euros and 50 cents ish. But yeah, then we will post to you, and definitely don't miss out. There's our beaded ring we just made. Definitely don't miss out. Crystal Magic beading competition with £200 worth of prizes to win. There you go. How do you like this bit of text? Do you have a sparkle in your eye and magic in your fingers? Then unleash your inner beading genius and win. So anyway, if you click on that to enter, all the details are here on the left, and you can also see all of our microcrystals as well. When you register, you've just got to put your name and your email address. This is so that we know who to contact and who has won, essentially. But just by registering, I should say, you go into the draw for our 2 lucky draw £50 store credit vouchers just by entering. But we also give you some nice little bonuses that you can use as of next month from the 2nd, and a bonus extra little exclusive product, access to an exclusive product for those of you who do decide to do our competition. But anyway, there's £200 worth of prizes to be won. You can register just over here on the right. You do have to answer the entry question, which is, where's the only place where you can get 11O microcrystals? Well, it's either going to be Mead Cider, Read Wider, or Bead Spider. So tough question, I know, but it is required. But thank you. That's go check that out. The website is www.beadspider.co.uk. I will put a link directly to the competition, I think, in the description there to make it easier for you all. But essentially, that is it for me for today. Go grab yourself some 20% off discounts. As long as you're spending £30, you're going to get free postage on the Bead Spider website. The links are there in the description. Now, thank you all very, very much for watching. Who have we still got? We had Kay is still here. We have Jen. We have Natalia, and Renska is still here. We have Kay, Joanne, Lisa, Angelica. Jermaine is probably still watching. Arena is here. Maxine is also here. She's editing her knitting tutorial. She does knitting tutorials. If you want to go and check out Maxine's YouTube channel, here's your plug, darling. Check out Maxine's Hey Maxine Place channel and go give her a subscribe. She's almost at 1,000 subscribers. So, you know, help her out, all of you. That's what I'm petitioning you all to do. Hey Maxine's Place. But anyway, which there you go. She's now enjoying her little plug. Why don't you put a link to your own channel, dear? Anyway, thank you, Robin, as well. Robin is still here. Thank you for watching. Actually, I need to send you an email, Robin. So keep an eye out on your inbox. I've got to just send you a little query about your email, about your order. So anyway, thank you all very, very much for watching. Like I said, if you're going to shop, do it. You've got until the end of the Easter long weekend. So pretty much midnight Samoa time, funnily enough, on Monday night. That's when the free postage offer will end. That is when your 20% off seed beads and 20% off microcrystals will end. So if you're going to go and get those, go and do it. But also make sure you go check out our competition, the beading competition. All the details are there. Go have fun. Anyway, I hope you all have a lovely, lovely Easter weekend. I've got the next few days off, which is going to be lovely. Even though it's a holiday today, I thought I would still come here and do a bit of beading with you all. So thank you all for joining me. I hope you have a lovely Easter weekend. And I will see you in about 2 weeks' time for another Bead Spider live tutorial. There will be plenty more going on. So keep an eye on your emails. And if you haven't subscribed to our email list, there is a link and you get a £5 voucher for our beading patterns if you do that. Now, also, don't forget to like the channel, like this video, subscribe to the channel, comment down below if you want to know anything, you got any questions. We're always checking our comments, we'll answer those, and have a lovely Easter. And of course, go check out Maxine's YouTube channel and subscribe to that because that helps her too. Watch some videos so she gets her watch hours up too. That helps. She's almost there. She needs to get to 1,000. Anyway, thank you very, very much for watching and have a lovely weekend. I'll see you soon and